Hey there, welcome to the sermon preview for this week. I'm really glad that you are joining me for a couple seconds here to prepare yourself for the sermon this coming Sunday. This week we're going to continue on in our 1 Peter series called Living Hope, this idea that Jesus is our source of hope. He is a source of hope, and so we should look to Him for hope, not other things in the world. Those things are just going to let us down. And so we need to look to Jesus as our source of hope. Now last Sunday, we heard a wonderful sermon from my friend Joel DeMott, who talked about this idea that the church is a royal priesthood, a holy temple, right? This idea that God's presence doesn't dwell in a building anymore or a structure, but instead it dwells in us. And we have legs and hands and mouths, and so we can go out and move as God's temple and relay the presence and the message of the good news of Jesus Christ. So just a wonderful foundation as we move into our passage this week. This week we're going to look at 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 11 through 25. Everything before this has been kind of introductory for Peter. It's been leading up to this. We see in verse 11, he says, "Beloved, I urge you." So he's really setting up. He's saying, okay, this was to capture your attention. Now I'm going to give you the meat of what I want to say. And so he says, as sojourners, as exiles, and this is where I just want us to understand this. So Peter is talking to these people that are exiles in a foreign land, that they are different from the people that are there. They weren't born and raised there likely. They are exiles in a foreign land. But actually even deeper than that, he's talking to them as foreigners and exiles or sojourners spiritually, right? This earth is not their home, that their home is in the presence of God for all of eternity, right? And the same applies to us. Like those of you that have been born and raised in Shipshewana like I was, this may not feel like a foreign land. This may feel like home, right? You know this area like the back of your hand. You could walk through it blindfolded probably, right? But that still doesn't mean that this is our home. There is a different home that we need to turn our eyes towards. And so kind of the gist of this passage that I want you to be thinking about this week is what Peter lays out here is somewhat instructions for living in a foreign land. How are we supposed to live when this is not our home, when this is not our final destination, right? How do we live in a foreign land? And there's a couple of different things that he lays out in that. And so I encourage you to kind of dig deeper into that and see, what do you find? What is Peter trying to say? When you're living in a foreign land, you need to behave in this way, or you need to do these things. But one thing I'll give away a little bit, I'll show my hand a bit here, is the instructions that Peter gives us of live in such a way, it follows the example of Jesus. And Peter lays that out at the end of the passage. Is Jesus is our example. He is the one that did this first. He suffered first, right? He did all these things first. And so we are supposed to follow in his steps. We are supposed to follow his example, to take his example and live in the same way. So I'm excited for Sunday. I hope you are as well. There's a lot of stuff in this passage. We may not be able to talk about absolutely everything since it's a little bit of a longer passage and it is really deep. But I encourage you to dig deep into this, to learn more, to grow in this passage leading up to Sunday, and then we'll have more of a conversation about it on Sunday. And as you're thinking about it, maybe reflect on this idea of what does it mean to be an exile in a foreign land? What does it mean to live in such a way here today, in a place that you have grown up in, a place that you moved in, or that you've lived here for a long time? What does it mean to be a foreigner in a strange land, or to be an exile in a foreign land, and view that in a spiritual sense? So I'm excited for Sunday. I hope you are as well. We'll see you here 9:15. Take care.